Hello everyone, T-Man978. Right now I'm reviewing the Fall of Cybertron Seekers, Skywarp, Starscream, and Thundercracker. According to the video game universe, this is what they look like before they made it to Earth. And they're all very, very similar without being like directly related to each other. For some reason, which is never explained, they all have the same body mold. What I try to do here is, even though they all have their own little color schemes and whatnot, and they all have the same weapons, I tried to show them off and holding their weapons in the 3 different ways they can be held or whatever. Like right here I have Thundercracker holding them underslung in his hands. Skywarp has them underslung as well, but they're attached to the ports in his forearms. And Starscream has the guns combined together. They all have a rotation gimmick, but when they're combined together, if you rotate one, the other one rotates. But as you can see right here, they're capable of just rotating individually, of course. And now I'm going to show them off all individually. Starting with Starscream, as you can see off top, without me even putting the lights behind his head or over top of his head, he has awesome light piping. I mean, I'm not doing anything. This is the light directly over top of his head. The light is like all the way over here. He has awesome light piping. He has a silver painted face. Come on, focus on it. You can barely see it, but he has like pink purple detail like that to show that like it's glowing just like they have in a video game. He and Skywarp have an orange cockpit and orange light piping, but Thundercracker has a more clear cockpit with red light piping. But Starscream, I mean, they tried to get as close to his original color scheme as possible. It's okay, but I would have really, myself personally, loved it if they made his thigh panels right here gray, and if they would have made his wings gray. And here's his back detail. You'll really be able to see that more when I put him into jet mode. But they did a good job. My only complaints with him is I would have loved for his hands to match his forearms, just like any other Seeker before. Like usually with G1 Seekers, like I mentioned in my Sunstorm review, their hands are the same color as their forearms. But that's not the case here. But these are nice figures. I'll just go over the articulation with one of them and just show off the other's color schemes. His head can rotate 360. Due to the transformation, he can look up if you want, but of course that panel hole opens up right there. One problem you might come into is if you're trying to take pictures. When he turns this way, these flaps get in the way of his face, so that can be a bit of a nuisance. But besides that, he has a little bit of an inward and outward motion right there at the shoulders. Shoulders can go out that much. They can rotate 360 really because it's on both ball joint, but the wings get in the way. His bicep swivel. 2 points of articulation at the elbows, double jointed, and a wrist swivel. The hips go out that much. They can go back that much and kick forward a lot. He has thigh swivel that shows some little robot detail right there, and show these empty hollowness right there. He has good knee joints, and if you've ever seen my first Transformer video ever, right here, the molding is kind of weird on this little knee part. And on my first ever toy of this guy, when I bent the knee, it just broke. But luckily, that didn't happen with this one. He has ankle pivot, and this toe can move around due to the transformation. One more piece of note of details on Starscream is his forearms are blue, but he has a nice robotic detail right there in the arm that's black. But overall, these are all nice. They are a little bit hollow right there in the middle where you can see straight through, which might frustrate some people. And from this angle, you can really see through him. But he looks decent up close. Let me bring in the other guys so I can talk about their details. Oh, but wait, first, here's his weapon up close. It's nicely painted. A lot of silver paint right there. Silver in the back. Here's what it looks like separated. I don't like that hollowness. Can be a little bit awkward when you separate it like that. But let me bring in the other guys. Skywarp looks really good. If I have any complaints about him, is he has way too much purple. Normally, Skywarp would have like black thighs, black lower legs, with maybe purple highlights right there. And maybe purple around the feet, just to make the purple pop. But this guy has a ton of purple. Like, I would have liked it if his forearms and hands were purple instead of black and gray. And out of the three, Skywarp has a plain gray painted face, where the other two has a silver, more chrome-like face. But all of them have like purple detail right here matching the video game. And compared to the Japanese version of this guy, we made out really good, because he looks way better than that Japanese version. And all of them have like light purple paint right here in the grooves right here. But Starscream doesn't have the light purple right here, whereas Thundercracker and Skywarp has that light purple right there. But anywho, they did a good job on him. I just wish he had more black instead of purple. Here's a close-up on his guns, which basically are not painted outside of this gray in the center here. Now let me bring out Thundercracker. Thundercracker, to me, made out the best. You could tell whoever was assigned to do the detailing on this guy was a real fan of G1, because he is super G1 accurate color scheme wise. And I wish that would have came over on Skywarp right there. He has a little bit of silver paint on his gun right there, both sides. I love the way the silver came out on his cockpit chest area right there. And he has the red light piping that I mentioned. And the colors on his wings are way more reminiscent of the actual G1 toy. So for me, out of all three of them, this is definitely my favorite one. I'm happy they gave us all three, but this, if they wouldn't have, I would at least hope they would have made this one, because he looks the best to me. Now let me get one of them and bring them to transformation. Since Thundercracker is my favorite, I figured I'll start with him first. Well, I'm only going to do the transformation once. But basically, first thing you want to do is unhinge his back. And back here now you see like some weird mechanical details under there. There's like a little spine. But unfold that, bring that out back there, and then all of this can stretch out and unaccordion. Rotate his head around backwards. Tab that in there, bring the chest up, or the cockpit up, and bring the head down to fill in that gap. The arms. Basically, you want to lift the shoulders up like that, fold them in like this, keeping the arms out like that. Now the forearms can tab in right there together. Move the fist however you want them. I'll move them like that to get them out of the way. And just basically leave them in that orientation. They don't like really clip in any other way besides tabbing the forearms together. Now, take this little spine I was mentioning, bring that all the way back. Push the toes in like that. And the legs, it's a peg up here, it pegs into the back of the leg on both sides, and boom, you're done. Bring the wings down. Oh wait, bring the nose cone up. Now you're done. You get to see them in their little Cybertronian jet mode. And I love the color scheme on this. The way the cockpit sits, it kind of reminds me of like a futuristic or Cybertronian like bird. Like this what Laserbeak could look like before he came to Earth. Here are the thrusters. This is what it looks like under the bottom. And you can grab these guns, orientate them how you want. I normally just have it like this, using the long peg, plugging it into the wings. And now he has Gatling guns on both wings. And let me bring in the other jets so you can see them from every angle. Now here's Skywarp. He has a lot of gray in this mold right here. And a lot of purple. Like I was saying, I would rather he had a lot more black. Here's his wing detail. You can see a little hollow bit on all of them like that between the head and the body. And with Starscream and this guy, you can make out his hands a lot better than you can Thundercracker here, with him being mostly black on the bottom. But out of the three, this guy and lastly Starscream here, they look the most cheap. Because Thundercracker, like I mentioned already, I love his color scheme a lot more. They just look a lot cheap compared to him. Now, I didn't mention that Starscream has silver paint down here on his feet, or in the thrusters in this mode. It's a little bit hard to pull off, but if you orientate one of their guns, the center jet's guns, a certain way, you can combine them all and have them like flying around in formation. And how I did this was putting the guns flat, like all of them have the guns the same way, but instead of plugging them into their wings like I did with Thundercracker here and Skywarp, I plugged it into Starscream's leg, and I pegged their gun, has like a little peg hole in the bottom. I pegged them into their actual guns. So now they're in like a steady formation. I guess if you have a good stand or something like that, you can plug Starscream and just have them all sitting there on a stand like this in formation. Before I give my final thoughts on these guys, I wanted to show off the reason why I don't put them. I typically put their guns underslung is because if you put the guns like this, they typically bump into their forearm if you use a small handle. So you have to rotate his hand left or right before you can actually hold it. But if you put the gun with the long handle, which is possible, now you have that hollow detail showing right there that I don't really like too much. So I typically just have them underslung. And I guess you could connect them. And something I've never tried before. Let me try it now. They do have a port at the top right here. You could put another weapon right here. The gears don't touch, so it's not going to rotate all three of them at once. But that is an option. Let me bring out some other Fall of Cybertron, War for Cybertron toys. Starting with their boss, Megatron. He's a little bit taller than them, which is appropriate. Soundwave. He's taller than them too, which is still good. And lastly, Shockwave. This is my least favorite of the Decepticon Fall of Cybertron modes, not including the Bruticus guys, who I dislike pretty much all of them. They all look hollow and horrible, so I'll just pretend Shockwave went on hiatus somewhere and we have the original 5 main guys, which all look nice together. Like I said, all of these look good. Those five are my favorite Fall of Cybertron, War for Cybertron characters modes that, as far as Decepticons are concerned. And if you could only get one of these, I would definitely suggest Thundercracker. I mean, they're all cool and they all do the job, but Thundercracker made out way better. And if you're getting all 3 of these characters, I would definitely go for the Hasbro Skywarp over the Takara one, because that one looks ugly to me. It's way more gray. Like, you can look it up on your own. I forget what the name of that toy line is that he came out in, but I'm pretty sure you can find it. Like, look up comparison or something like that. But anyway, this has been the Fall of Cybertron Seekers, Skywarp, Starscream, and Thundercracker. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you want to comment about something, comment, share, feel free to share, and subscribe if you want to see more. This has been T-Man978. See you next time.